Hey everyone, welcome to Coffee with Joe for Friday, May 28th, 2010. Joe, I'd like to talk a little bit today about one of the barriers that I think many people have to this idea of debt-free money issued by the US Treasury spent into existence on projects that benefit everyone, like Lincoln did with the Greenbacks. People understand who think about it how debt-based money gets its value. Money is created by a bank out of nothing based on if I'm buying a car, my promise to pay back that money, and if I don't pay it back, it's securitized by the car. It's securitized by the actual physical thing that represents that amount of money as it is being created, right? They don't understand how debt-free money gets its value because there's no promise to pay back. There's no securitization. There's no actual thing that represents the money.
Yeah.
Can you explain how debt-free money gets its value?
Well, Pete, there is that famous quote about that. We have learned, to trust debt and to fear, money, and that's been, kind of a huge public relations campaign with the from the moneyed interests forever, and that is really, kind of what's being carried forward. But when you come right down to it, Pete, you gotta be thinking in terms of, again, the national economy. You got to be thinking in terms of the means of exchange. You got to be thinking of it in terms of, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. So you have a nation, you have a sovereign nation, you have our pursuit of happiness through the national economy, and that national econ. In order for that to happen in commerce, we need the means of exchange for the goods and services that are going to be produced, and that's the real, to me, the most important and basic function of money. Um, so, in order for the government to provide that, they can do it any way they want, and however they do it, it's going to have exactly the same value. It's going to have the same base of value, which is that the government says that that's what it is. And the fact that we go through the machinations of a securitization in a loan transaction is really inconsequential, Pete. It's totally inconsequential. It means absolutely nothing. Um, Even if you had debt-free money and you wanted to go and borrow money to buy a car, you're going to have the securitization, Pete. Okay, it's just that they're not going to create that money on the spot. The money's going to have to already been created.
So
We're going
that
to lend
so
out money.
that's a bit of a red herring then.
It is a red herring. It
That
is to me.
the debt-free money is not created with securitization. That it's not backed by anything. The way
That's
debt-based money is backed by a promise.
yeah. I mean, in terms because going back to in terms of the creation of the debt-free money, remember it's a process it's a public process. It's the public's money system. So it's the public process by which the Congress basically appropriates the amount of money. And when I say appropriates, I mean they spend it into existence, and they spend it into existence only after a very thorough public accounting for what it is going to be spent on. So the idea that it's just money that's created, just money that's thrown out there, just the wild paper money floaters, is totally bogus, Pete. That part's totally bogus. So then you get down to the question of, in a fiat money system of a sovereign nation, where does that money of any system get its value? And the answer is, on the one hand, the full faith and credit of the people. Okay, that is to say, the people having full faith and credit in themselves. You know, that is to say, we're going to get up and go to work every day, and we're going to produce goods and services, and we're going to consume goods and services, and we're going to have a monetary system that's going to enable that to happen. And then when you get to the other part of it, kind of when you think of the banker's balance sheet part of it, it really represents all the natural resources of a country. So basically what I would say is that, no country can produce debt-free money or debt money, or should be able to produce debt-free money or debt money in excess of the ability of the country to pay for it, by the resources that are available to it. What does that mean? To generate the commerce and to generate the money, so that there is an exchange of goods and services, equally, equitably done. So the source of the value of all money has to do with the natural resources that are available. And when I say the natural resource, I include the human resources, Pete. Okay, the technical capability, the educational capability, the however you want to think of it, as the resources of the country. That's really where the money gets its value. And the more we can do to exclude from that equation the bankers' function of lending, Pete, the better off we're going to be. Let the bankers lend real money. Let them charge the interest that the market will bear. Let all of that stuff happen after we have created an adequate supply of money.
I think part of the reason people trust this idea of debt money being created, being secured and given its value by a promise is there's at least some concept of the amount of money being limited to the number of promises that you can get out there, and that then the supply sort of matches the amount of promises out there, and the money supply kind of regulates itself. So one of the things that we know people fear most about a modern greenback system is the overcreation of money, because it's not limited by the number of promises that you got to go out and get from people in order to create it, right? So there needs to be, as you say, serious control on the amount that's created. If the economy has, it's hard to estimate exactly what the money supply is, somewhere between 12 and 14 trillion dollars if you assume that that's the M3 money supply without getting into a lot of details. Seems to me that that money gets its value from the whole economy and all the exchange that's going through the economy, and it doesn't matter if it's 12 to 14 trillion dollars of money that was created secured by promises, or 12 to 14 trillion dollars that was created debt-free and spent into existence by the government. That's the amount of money that we would have to work with to conduct all of our business with. And if it's created debt-free, of course, it has the advantage of we don't have all those debt service payments for the creation of the money.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of a given that that there is a limit, that there is a proper amount, Pete, okay, appropriate amount of money to be in existence. And by the way, we're living in a system well in excess of what that amount should be. Okay, that's why we've had the bubbles, But the part that's sort of a little hard to understand is why people have any confidence in the money that's been created by the private banking system right now. Okay, with its growth levels, and in terms of either the M3 or other M measures. Okay. It's happening without any I don't know, checks and balances, if you will. Okay, and we only judge it by what? The consumer price index, the basket of goods in the consumer price index. That's how we judge how we're doing the money. No, we need a much more sophisticated system than that, Pete. We need much more stability than what we can get out of the debt money system. And really issuing money without debt is the answer, to that. But you're absolutely right that a debt-free money system doesn't solve the problem that too much money can be created and cause inflation. That's true. But given the amount of money that we've created now and the lack of inflation, Pete, we're very resilient with regards to inflation. We're very resilient with regards to inflation. We can move and adjust, our way forward without causing, any major inflationary problems in terms of money creation. I'm very confident in that myself.
Joe, we're out of time for this week. We'll pick it up again next week.
Okay, Pete. Thanks, buddy.
Thanks, Joe.
Ciao.